Hello, this is MykonosFan, and welcome to episode 3 of Last Wave. This is the September 2018 edition. And this month, I have an actual guest. It's not just me fucking yakking in my living room. Please introduce yourself, Mr. The Bolt, the Golden Bolt.
Hi, I'm the new Pokemon that was just revealed.
Oh man, they just fucking leaked you, didn't they? That happened this morning.
Leaked. Yeah. Hi, I'm Kevin. I run the YouTube channel called The Golden Bolt. I do entertaining game reviews and stuff. Chris actually joined me for one. We reviewed Spyro together, and it was a good time. So go check that out.
We did do a Spyro review, didn't we?
Yeah, we were supposed to do another one this month, but then, whoops.
I was thinking a few days ago, like, did we move that to November? Oh wait, that was the actual trilogy.
No, we delayed it, and then they delayed it the next day.
Yeah. Because the day we're recording this is when that thing was supposed to come out, the actual game.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Which has been haunting pretty much my entire presence today. We won't go into that much more than we have to. But yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. Very tired, but otherwise good.
You've been a content boy today.
Yeah, this past week has been very content boy for me. Because as of a couple days ago, at the time of this recording, the Nintendo Switch Online just came out. And one of my plans, as somebody who reviews every single PS Plus game each month, because I'm an insane person, I was like, oh, hey, maybe I should add more work to my plate. And so I've been working on a massive 1 hour long video where I review all 20 of the free NES games. And I'm surprised I have a voice right now. I'm not going to lie to you. Because my voice was shot yesterday.
Tackling all 20 NES games, it simultaneously sounds like not that hard, but also kind of difficult. Because I know I grew up with an NES in the house for a few years, but that's not where my nostalgia lies.
Yeah.
And I personally find it very hard to go back to a lot of those games. So it simultaneously sounds easy, but also like, oh, right, I don't give any of these games more than like 5 minutes of my attention.
Yeah,
thankfully, the idea of actually sitting down and reviewing like 20?
Yeah. Thankfully, I went much shorter than I usually do. I went to my original style because the plus one videos used to be 3 minutes long, and then I was like, wait, YouTube likes long videos. So I
like long videos.
Yeah, and everyone likes long videos, really. So I realized that the people that were only watching because it popped up in the recommended feed were only going to watch half the video regardless. So if I make the video 6 minutes instead of 3 minutes, everyone else will be happy. And it's done very, very much a better choice for me than doing it as 3 minutes. But for these, I was like, well, the video is going to be 20 fucking games anyway, so who cares if River City Ransom is only a minute long or tennis?
I'm really excited for your take on baseball, personally.
But the slowest fucking baseball game I've ever played, and it's baseball. How does it get slower?
They found a way back in 1943. I think that's when it came out.
Just about, yeah.
I think it kind of became a joke in a group of friends that anytime any game console or subscription service would come out, you'd review the monthly games. And you did do a Games with Gold thing.
Yeah, Games with Gold was going to be one I actually did do as a running series. But what I did was I made my April Fool's video this year a review of whatever the game, The Witness was that game for April. And I did that video, and then at the end I was like, wait, what do you mean this is different? And I meant to plug that on Reddit to see how the Xbox subreddit took to it, because if they liked it, I would have kept going. But I asked the moderators if that was okay, and they never got back to me, so I forgot. And then I was like, oh, it's May. Well, so tentatively, I was planning on bringing that back after PS Plus. They're going to cut out the Vita and PS3 games in March. Yeah. So I was going to bring that back here then. But then the Switch games, I think will probably do better. So I might just not do Xbox.
Yeah, there's a weird tiering thing on YouTube where, like, in terms of interest, it's old Nintendo games and new Nintendo games. You can kind of get an audience for PlayStation stuff, and then Xbox, kind of like where it's actually at with Xbox, like, no one really cares.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I could do it, but anyone who's going to watch those videos isn't going to stick around for the rest of the videos. And the whole goal of Plus One is to be a secondary series to give me content, first and foremost, because otherwise I'd put out a video like every 2 weeks or so, maybe. And I wanted to be a little more prolific with my content. and I figured, well, I'm a PlayStation guy, and there's a market for this that nobody has grabbed yet, and so I wanted to be the one. I wanted to go for it.
Yeah, and I think the unspoken odd thing about these platform named services anyway, so much of what's on either of these subscription things is third-party content anyway.
Yeah. So for Nintendo, it's weird because most of them are pure Nintendo games, given they're 30 years old, but hey, they're games. They exist.
Yeah, like, I kind of peek at the games with gold stuff. I don't have an Xbox Live subscription because I don't really play online or use my Xbox that much, but I feel like it's always indie games. I can't remember the last time it was like, oh, here's Sunset Overdrive this month or Halo Wars 2. That stuff kind of got sucked into Game Pass anyway, I think.
They gave away Forza 2 like 2 months ago. Forza Horizon 2. I'm sorry, not Forza 2.
That's a good game. It's a really good game.
So at your suggestion, I finally downloaded it and I was like, I should play this, and I haven't turned my Xbox on since.
That's great timing because I am dying to play the fourth one in a couple weeks.
That's coming out soon, yeah.
Yeah, an embargo just lifted on that, and I was watching Giant Bomb play it, and I'm getting that itch.
Yeah,
it's bad. Those games are just comfort food for me.
No, I get that. Yeah, I wish I had time to just go and casually play video games, but I have to play video games.
Oh man, okay. I get to do the podcast thing, especially in the gaming space, where a segue comes up, and I fucking spend 20 years calling it out. Oh my god, it's segue time. So you just brought it up, and I want to get back to your YouTube thing, but I want to also know just what you've been playing casually, because you put out like 20 videos on YouTube a day, and I don't understand how you balance that with having a life and casually playing games. So I want to know what you've been playing for fun lately.
The answer to your question is I don't balance it. To be frank. As far as Yeah. Sure. Yeah, speaking of Spider-Man, that is the one major game I've played this month outside of 20 fucking NES games.
I lined you up for that one, just by the way.
No, it was a good setup. You threw it at me like a slow baseball on NES. So Spider-Man is really the only game I've played a lot of in recent time. A couple weeks ago, I was playing Fire Pro Wrestling World on the PS4. That just came out.
Oh, right, yeah.
I bought it on Steam Early Access just to support them because they're saying it's going to be the last one, and it's the longest running wrestling game series of all time, and most people say it's the best one, so I was like, I should try one. And they're very much kind of right. Like, it might be the best one. It's weird because it's like a 2D isometric sort of half wrestling, half fighting game, but there's no HUD. They don't tell you how to do anything. You just kind of got to figure it out. I mean, this one has a tutorial, but they normally don't. But like, you can do anything. You can do pretty much any move. Like the flow of the game has to be like very start off like slow. You can't do big moves at the start like you can in like WWE 2K or whatever. You have to start off with like punches and kicks or like very light grapples and work your way up so you feel this tension and escalation, even if you're just playing casually with a friend. And I didn't really get it when I played it on PC, but I was playing with my buddy on PS4 and it sort of clicked and I was like, wow, this is actually really special.
Okay, riddle me on this, because I've seen a couple minutes of this game. When you say there's all the different moves you can do, like you can do any move, I'm guessing each character has moves tied to them?
Yeah, so each character has, like when you grapple, you just walk into somebody to grapple. There's no grapple button or anything. Oh. But you walk in and there's a light, medium, heavy, and then there's a light plus medium attack. And there's like 4 directions you can do.
Okay, because when you said you can do any move, I was imagining like the world's most complex Street Fighter input, and I was like, whoa.
No, you just walk into them and then press a direction, and you can do it from the front or behind, or you can throw them into the turnbuckle and do top rope moves. You can throw them out of the ring and do like a lot of stuff is like common for wrestling games now, but to see it done so fluidly, like again, these are sprites, and there's one move for any wrestling fans out there that you can download any character as well from like the PC version. So I downloaded a custom AJ Styles. and he has one move called the Styles Clash, where like he essentially you grab him by the leg, like you grab your opponent by the legs and hold them, and then you tuck your legs around their arms underneath you, and then you do like a face plant. And then he normally rolls that into a pin. So he rolls you over on your back and pins you without getting off of you. So that move is in the game, and it's fluid as fuck. And this is a sprite. Again, like this game, they added this into the game as a casual sprite move. And it's just, it's a marvel to look at this game. It really is.
It sounds like something I could probably see and appreciate the attention to detail to, but not fully get, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that was me when I bought it on PC. But yeah, no, it's that's been fun. It's not like a fully in-depth game. Like, it has a story mode, though. For some reason, when I play the story mode, it features New Japan Pro Wrestling in this game, and the story mode is just a visual novel,
which is what I love about it. From what I saw, like, it was hilarious.
It's a visual novel with some wrestling in there. But the thing for me is my version doesn't let you like stop text. It just speeds through all of the text at once, so I can't read what's going on. So I'm just watching a very fast slideshow.
Maybe that's the best way to enjoy it?
Yeah, probably.
So I know, who publishes the WWE games? Is it 2K?
That's 2K now, yeah.
They're kind of the only other wrestling game on the market, right? I'm sure there's a bunch of mobile fuck-off games, but...
Yeah, I mean, ever since...
That's kind of it, right?
Ever since like the PS2, like mid Xbox days, there really hasn't been a competitor that was worthwhile. Like, there were some like other pseudo WWE wrestling games and backyard wrestling, I guess.
Oh, right, yeah.
But no, WWE, sort of like everything else with wrestling, has sort of just cannibalized the market lately.
And I've heard those games maybe need a kind of ground up rework, or maybe some money thrown at them.
The same developer, like 2K took over publishing, but Yuke's has been the developer of the WWE games since the PS1, since SmackDown 1, I believe. So it's been like 20, 25 years just about, and they haven't stopped, and they've just made the same fucking game for that long. And like, not like the same game, like, you know, Madden is the same game every year. They change things in WWE, but they make them, like many things in WWE, worse somehow.
But so they're just being authentic to the source material, basically.
Yeah. It's just hot garbage. I haven't bought a 2K game yet. I haven't bought a WWE game since the PS2.
As someone from the outside looking in on wrestling, I'm sure I'd actually get into it if I enjoyed it. But that seems to be a weird issue there, where like they should probably take some time off from making those games.
Yeah.
But then if they do, what's left?
Well, the thing for me is... So 2K19, they just actually showed off gameplay yesterday, and the first thing that they were saying to like the press and everything was, "We know people think the games aren't fun, and so we're going to make them more fun." Because they kind of went into like wrestling simulation, and I don't play a WWE game to simulate fights. I play them to do stupid wrestling. Like, that's the market. So it became like this very like UFC-esque kind of fighting game almost, where it's incredibly complex and you can do stupid shit, but only if you have the power tokens to do your OMG move. And
are those actual in-game
that's an actual
named...
That's an actual thing.
Okay, I have no further questions.
But yeah, so 2K19, it seems like allegedly they sped the game up, and I appreciate that because the other games are slow as shit. But I can't... Everyone's like, oh, these games look really good. Like, the visuals are nice. And then I'm like, John Cena's wearing a 5XL t-shirt. and everybody's hair looks terrible. And everyone's like, oh my god, the hair physics are so good. And I'm like, no. Or, oh my god, the lighting is so good. No. It's not good lighting. It looks like everyone is just, like, very half cel-shaded. And it looks terrible. And everyone likes it. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
I've got to see this. It's 2019 this year, right? Is
Yeah.
What you said?
Yeah.
2K19. Okay. Because I feel like the WWE, they probably do pretty well selling these games to people who maybe don't exactly pay much attention to the video game space. Maybe WWE is like one of their 3 games a year kind of deal.
Yeah, probably.
So these are people who aren't really paying attention to what's going on in like other video games, and they're like, oh man, this looks great. And it's, okay, yeah, I'm looking at these screenshots, and it's kind of...
Like, sometimes the faces look okay, but last year, especially, like, with how big of a push WWE has had lately to emphasize the women's roster and kind of put them on an equal playing field finally, The women in 2K18 looked terrible. Like their faces all looked very off model. In 2K19 they're better, but like even like Ronda Rousey, she looks a little off, kind of. Like her face looks okay, but then like sometimes it doesn't look okay.
I am now looking at 2K18 screenshots, and oh my god,
yeah,
okay.
and like the men still don't look great either. That's the thing, but like it's weird because they haven't emphasized the women's roster yet. Like there's no women's story mode in this year, and this year apparently the story mode's fucking crazy. Like it's like some stupid shit where you fight a zombie Triple H and things. Like they added big head mode to this game finally, and no one asked for it, but they did.
Oh, that explains that fucking screenshot I saw last week. That dude jumping off the corner.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like it's cool that they're doing all this stupid stuff. Like that's exactly what wrestling should be. It's a step in the right direction, but it's taken them like 10 years to get back to the right direction. So I'm not going to buy this game. Not for fucking $60. It'll be $30 in a week.
I'm guessing since they're annualized and there's probably so many hands in the pot in making one of these games and like who's overseeing it, it's probably a very large ship to slowly steer back on course over time.
Well, that, and the weird thing is that 2K and WWE aren't very nice to one another. Like last year, WWE, like they wanted the Switch version of 2K18 to launch simultaneously with the other two. And then 2K was like, no, it's not done. And they were like, why isn't it done? You said it would launch at the same time. They're like, well, it's not done. And so allegedly WWE forced their hand and made them release it on Black Friday without telling anybody. And 2K was like, okay, it's coming out, but the game's not done. So it runs at 2 frames total, not per second total.
I feel bad for wrestling fans. Just going to say it.
Yeah, no, you should.
I've made this comparison before with you, definitely, but it feels like as a Sonic fan, I get to look into like an alternate reality and be like, oh, okay, it's not just us who are feeling like this all the time. That's good.
And the thing, so just like Sonic, there are 2 teams that work on WWE at any given point. There's the main roster team, which is like the Sonic team, where they just fuck everything up. And then
working on it for 20, 25 years.
Yeah. And then there's the like the indie teams, like the which is like NXT, which is like their developmental brand. Mm-hmm. And so Triple H actually sort of like that's his baby, and he like runs this more old school style of like wrestling promotion as a developmental territory within WWE. And the storytelling, the wrestling, he lets them do things that are actually unique instead of making them all the same cookie cutter. And it's the best, I would say the best wrestling in the world. Some people would say it's the second best in the world. So it's weird that these people that you love their characters, you love their character arc, and then they come to the main roster and they're a smiling guy, and that's their gimmick, is that they smile.
Would some people say New Japan is the best wrestling in the world, by the way?
Yeah, usually people say New Japan nowadays, but people flip. New Japan's very hard-hitting, and they don't exactly care about their bodies as much, so I'm not as much of a fan of it sometimes, because it's like, oh, that's the best wrestler in the world landing on his fucking neck. Again, please stop that. You don't need to land on your neck. But
it sounds like a carny show or something sometimes.
No, I mean wrestling is a carny show by definition.
I don't know. Someday I'm going to just sit down, probably talk to you and our buddy Sam, and figure out like what should I watch just to get an idea.
I can tell you right now. You can watch, if you want to watch good wrestling, you watch NXT.
Okay.
It'll hook you in right away, and you'll be like, wow. Like, I like this. And then you'll watch main roster and you'll be like, wow, I don't like this, but I'm going to watch anyway.
Okay, so it's not even, like, necessarily the go-to, like, hey, here's wrestling. Just as long as I watch an NXT thing, I'll probably get the idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, there's one storyline that's been going on for essentially 2 years now that they've built it up very slowly and built it up, and it just kind of, like, this tag team, they broke up, and now the one guy's an evil son of a bitch, and the other guy is, like, the most white meat, like, babyface possible, but now he's going insane because the other guy keeps winning. So, like, he's turning to the dark side. And it's, like, it's very organically done over the course of 2 years, and it's just been magnificent.
I accidentally follow a lot of people who are into wrestling on Twitter, and I never see anyone talk about NXT. It's always bitching about the main event. Yeah,
that's about right. Because NXT, like, if you're happy, you don't say things. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the internet rule. True, yeah.
So it's like, that's most of it, really.
Okay.
Anyway,
that all makes sense.
I think we've talked about wrestling for 20 minutes now, so we should probably.
I'm officially out of my depth. Let's bring it back to Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man's a wrestling fan too.
Oh, come again?
I said Spider-Man's a wrestling fan too. I thought you just wanted me to leave after that.
Oh, okay. Let's not talk about Spider-Man. Oh no, but so I think just the other day I saw it's the fastest selling Sony game ever.
Yeah, as of today, it just those numbers just came out.
Which means something.
It outsold God of War, which was the next fastest selling. I think was like slightly under it. And there were some other like buzzwords they used where they were like, "Oh, it made more money in the first 3 days than Homecoming did," and it's like, that's impressive, but the game's $60, so it kind of makes sense.
It's an entirely different metric.
But yeah, it's very well deserved.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That game, it's still not a stretch to say I finished it like a week and a half ago now. When did it come out? September 8th, September 10th?
7th, maybe?
7th. I beat it within like 3 days, so it's been like about half a month. And like I 100%ed it, and I still feel, having not played it in 2-3 weeks and not thought about it, it's the best superhero game ever made.
I definitely have not played many other superhero games. I think the only other ones were Superman 64 as a kid and
yep.
Spider-Man 2 and 3 as a rental.
See, the thing to me is Spider-Man feels to me like what everybody said Arkham was, but what I never saw Arkham as, and that's fun. Like, everyone says Arkham is super fun, but if you play the combat, it's just Assassin's Creed combat. Like,
oh man, so it is fun. Great.
Like, all it is you wait to block, and then you punch stuff, and then you wait to parry, I'm sorry. And then you wait to parry again. And like, Spider-Man can be the same way, but you get to be very much on the offense and very much on the attack with all of your moves. And with how fluid this fucking game is, oh my god, it's fantastic.
I don't want to say something that'll get taken out of context and make me sound really stupid, but
hot take.
You know how in those character action games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, you can like try and see how long you can stay in the air?
Yeah.
And build up combos. Spider-Man let me do that, but let me not feel like I was super shitty at it, and so I really appreciated that part of it.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying.
And Spider-Man's made me want to go back and try those Arkham games, but now I'm kind of worried that I'm going to feel what you're talking about and be like, I just want to do all this stupid air shit now.
Like, it's like just...
Batman flips around a lot on the ground, but I've never seen him just like stay suspended in air for 5 minutes.
The problem with Arkham, to me, is that it's not a problem with Arkham necessarily, but it's a problem with Batman as a whole lately, is that they want to stay in the shadow of the Dark Knight trilogy. And I don't like the Dark Knight trilogy. I know everyone likes it, but I just get bored to death, and I don't feel that it does like Batman much justice as a character. I don't like Batman much to begin with, so I'm coming from a very
that's why. Okay,
like everyone likes Batman, and then they loved Dark Knight and Batman Beyond and Dark Knight Rises. Not Batman Beyond, Batman Begins. You know what I mean?
I was like, that's a little random, but I guess people like that one.
Everyone likes Batman Beyond. But yeah, I just don't care for Batman as a superhero because he's not a superhero. He's just a dude. And so to play him up as a superhero doesn't really rub me the right way a lot of the time because, again, he's just a very rich dude. I don't identify with a rich dude. I am not rich. Yeah. Whereas, like, Spider-Man, there's a reason he's the single biggest superhero in history. Like, period. He is. He's the most lasting. He's like, I know other ones have come first and like, you know, Superman came first, but Spider-Man is the most easily identifiable superhero because he clicks with everybody. He's just a kid who happened to, you know, be lucky. Yes, he's a smart kid in most of the universes, but he's very down to earth. He has his own problems that aren't just my parents are dead. Wah. Like,
he's very poor. I relate to that heavily.
Yeah. Like he's so poor. Like in the game, he gets evicted.
Oh right, yeah, that does happen.
It just happens at some point. It's like, oh fuck, I need to find somewhere to stay.
And then he never sleeps in the game again, even though he makes a point about trying to sleep at some point.
Yeah, no, he kind of falls asleep at one point, but not really. But just on a rooftop. But like,
it just feels so good though to play.
Yeah, like it's just, I don't want to be IGN, but like no game has captured that feeling.
Say it. You said it.
that feeling. I'm gonna phrase myself well on this one. No other superhero game has captured that feeling, not of being a superhero, because many games have done that, but that feeling of being the person behind the superhero. See, I spun what you thought I was going to say.
You left me hanging in a web there.
I'm leaving.
But by the end of this year, when everyone does their Game of the Year list, that first 5 minutes when you first get to web swing around, that is definitely going to be on every moment of the year list. Maybe not number one. I haven't played much this year, but just the way that feels, it was like something else, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to E3 when they revealed this game, because we all heard rumors that Sucker Punch was making a Spider-Man game. And that made sense because Infamous was one of the better superhero games until then.
God, yeah. That was the rumor, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then when you see fucking Insomniac's logo, now my channel name is The Golden Bolt. I am a Ratchet & Clank guy. That is my favorite series of all time. And so when I saw Insomniac, I naturally was like, oh shit. And then I was like, wait, can they do this? Can they pull this off? Because I know Insomniac, and I was kind of afraid that they weren't up to the task, and I should never doubt them again.
Yeah, I feel kind of silly, but you and I actually got to messaging a few weeks before the game came out, and just solely based on most of the major marketing, this game looked like it had a lot of QTE, and they were kind of holding their cards a little bit on the story, so you're like, well, the swinging might be fun, but it kind of looks like an Arkham game a little bit. What's going on here?
Well,
and we were like, yeah, this will probably be decent or good, but, it probably won't blow people away. Then we played it, and it kind of blew us away, and we both probably felt kind of stupid about that.
It was, to me, it was because at E3, they showed the footage off, and everyone was like, wow, your swinging seems kind of slow. And then they were like, well, it's physics momentum-based swinging, so we went slow. And oh, this seems like a scripted sequence. And it's like, oh, it's not a scripted sequence. You can go anywhere you want to get to that end when you're chasing the helicopter and all that.
Yeah, that prison break sequence from this year's E3, that was the one where I got to it. And I was intentionally just trying to fuck around just to break my perception. Because from this E3, I was like, this looks like the most railroaded fucking thing in the world.
And it's not. That's it's kind of there are points where you have to go through certain points, obviously. It does steer you back into certain spots, but you can kind of go wherever you want. That's probably the most scripted sequence in the game.
Yeah, and I don't really think much else comes that close in the game, really.
No, and it's just even some of the parts in the E3 trailer where they show you land in the middle of a building and you have to run out of the building on the other side, and everyone's like, oh, that's gotta be scripted. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, you're scripted to go through that building if you go to that part, but everything within that building, it's just whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it wasn't a run up and then push square at the appropriate time to duck out of the way. You can kind of just look like an idiot and keep ducking left repeatedly if you want. You can do whatever you want. Obviously not fun to do, but
yeah,
breaks the notion that it is some scripted auto thing.
Yeah, and it was just, like I said, knowing Insomniac, I felt a little better when they said they had both teams working on it and they had the most people working on this game of anyone ever. Of any game they ever made, rather. But knowing their issues with some higher budget games and lower budget games, Ratchet & Clank PS4 had probably the lowest budget of any major game in the past couple years. Outright. The budget of the game and the movie combined was less than $40 million. And the movie was $25 million of that. So the game had $15 million to make a full 8-hour game. And so, obviously, Disney... I
never really thought about it like that, but yeah, that is pretty fucking low.
Yeah, and so that's why when people are like, oh, Insomniac fucked the series up, I'm like, no, they didn't. They made the best game mechanically in the Ratchet & Clank franchise, and they did so on a fucking, chump change budget. And they were done before the movie that they were supposed to be following. But anyway, like I said, I was very skeptical of Spider-Man because of knowing Insomniac's past few years, where they've made some good games, but not necessarily the most fantastic games. So when they come into fucking Spider-Man, it's like, well, this could be very good, but it's probably going to be decent. And the reviews sort of say, oh, it's decent. The reviews were kind of very middling for Spider-Man. So I was like, oh, okay, it's got a mid-80s score. That's good. And then I played it and I was like, why does this have a mid-80s score?
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't, The only complaint I can see about the game that brings the score down generally is that it still has open worldliness to it. And I don't find that a bad thing in the way that this game does it, because the game like slowly introduces more and more open worldly things for you. So you can do them if you want, but there's no, like, you don't have to. There's incentive to, but by all means, you can just play the story. And
yeah, it's one of the few open world games in the few years where I only did fast travel for the trophy and the animations tied to the fast travel.
The fast travel's fantastic.
But also I was going out of my way to seek out other combat because like I wanted to get better at it, which I don't often feel with games.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this game sort of got me back into that Breath of the Wild mindset, which I didn't think an open world game could do. Because I played Horizon after Breath of the Wild. Just punched my desk. And like I played Horizon after Breath of the Wild, and I was like, wow, this is like, you know, functionally probably as good as this sort of open world game can get, but I don't feel like doing anything. Like I did it because I wanted to complete the game, not because I wanted to play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got to Platinum in Horizon, and I really enjoyed like the aesthetic and the world they built and all that stuff. And your first few encounters with every robot was very, very impressionable on me. But
yeah.
I was never like, I really want to go see the side quests because the characters are interesting, or I never thought like, oh, yeah, I want to see what's beyond this hill just to see what the environment is like or see what I'll find. I was kind of just doing stuff hoping for more nuggets of like the overall story they built, if that makes sense.
No, yep, I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's a very impressive game, but I'm really hoping the sequel fleshes out kind of more reason to care, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like outside of Aloy, there's not much reason to keep playing Horizon. Like,
yeah,
Aloy's a fantastic character, but even then, she's kind of not.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I feel kind of bad going over this because I talked about this with Alex in episode 1, but like I couldn't remember any other character in the game aside from the guy who talks to you on the focus piece. And then Alex mentioned the mutton chop sideburn guy to me, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy. And then I kind of blanked on anyone else.
There's the sun god.
See, I remember him because of his getup, not so much him. But I guess that's better than nothing.
Yeah, he exists, I guess.
But yeah, Spider-Man, the last thing I will say that really impressed me about it, I think overall the story, you know, makes sense for an open world game. It's not like, I won't say it's immensely gripping all the way through, but it builds to a really fantastic climax, and I think both of us will probably refrain from spoilers because it's still pretty recent.
Yeah, of course.
But the performance, the kind of set piece of the final boss.
Let me go back to performance for a second, because again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but Yuri Lowenthal's performance, especially as you get closer and closer to the end of the game, oh my god,
basically pitch perfect.
Like there's a few things I've said to a few friends that I haven't gotten this into words yet, because I am planning on reviewing the game in the next couple weeks. This has the best Peter Parker I've ever seen. This has the best Mary Jane I've ever seen. This has the best Aunt May I've ever seen. This has the best Doc Ock I've ever seen. Everybody in this is either the best or one of the best. I love Norman Osborn's character in this one. Like, there are a few that are iffy. Like the Sinister Six just kind of exist, and that's fine because I kind of like that, because none of them deserve to be major villains in a Spider-Man game.
I get these two mixed up. Is Electro the one that's the Sinister Six guy?
Yeah, he's Cole McGrath.
Okay. That's the one that made me laugh every time he was on screen, because his acting was just so camp.
Yeah.
Not in like a bad way, but it really stood out when all the other performances were actually like pretty fucking solid.
Yeah,
overall.
and then he comes in and he's just, No,
comic book villain.
Yeah. But like, yeah, to me, like the Sinister Six, none of them need to be major villains. Rhino is always a level 1 boss. Vulture could have his own, but no one cared about Vulture until Homecoming. Electro, he's the one who could be his own game or his own like act boss. But again, I've played Infamous 1 and 2. I don't need more Cole McGrath. But like yeah, just like I said, the performances outside of like the Sinister Six, and then even then they're fine, but like everybody else is not just one of, they are the best of the entire Spider-Man franchise. And that's saying a lot, because this series goes, 70 years? 50 years?
Yeah.
And just, there's one line at the end, and I'm sure you know the line I'm talking about. But
it's bad that there's a few. Well, actually, it's very good that there's a few different lines coming to my mind
from the ending sequences. But like the last line, you know,
yep, gotcha.
That one, that one, absolutely like. So okay, I'm gonna be frank. I cried at the ending.
Okay, it's not just me. That's good.
Like I did not expect to. Like you know what's gonna happen by that point.
Yeah, that's the thing about this ending. It's not groundbreaking for Spider-Man, but they just fucking stick the landing like, so perfectly.
Like you know, by the time you're going into the final boss, exactly what's gonna happen. But then there's a few points where it's like, oh no, Peter's gonna Peter this up, and like he's gonna be too good for his own good, and you know, blah blah blah, spoilery, and
yeah.
But then he's not. You know, like he just keeps going and being like that hero that we know that he is, not the one that's learning like you expect from most Spider-Man. Because most people,
it's very nice.
Most people who play a Spider-Man game or watch a Spider-Man movie or anything, they're used to the first 2 years of Peter Parker. This is year 8, and like he knows, and so just that, and combined with his performance, knowing what he has to do, yeah, absolutely fantastic.
And that was very cool for me as someone who I'm casually into Spider-Man. I've seen the Raimi trilogy and I watched the Amazing movies, and that's pretty much it. So it was nice to see that like later year Peter Parker, who's kind of been around the block. It was kind of nice just to have a first game, just dive right into the deep on that stuff.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man anything, but the ending of this gave that some serious run for its money, I think.
Yeah,
to me, Alfred Molina was Doc Ock, just because that's what I grew up in. Spider-Man, Raimi movies were such a cultural fucking thing back then.
Yeah.
But God, the Doc Ock in this game's so good.
It's just like, yeah, it might be a little rushed when he becomes Doc Ock.
I thought they were going to slow tease that out over a few
I
games,
thought that
actually.
I thought that was going to be game 2 or something. But like when they come out with it, it's like, okay, it might be a little quick for my taste, but considering you spent 2 acts on Martin Lee. But you know what? I don't care. Like this game isn't perfect, but neither is Spider-Man, and that's the thing that I like about this game is that yeah, of course I would want a perfect superhero game, but if there's one game that I wouldn't want to be perfect, it's this one, because like, he's a flawed character. That's what makes him so good.
But what if he was perfectly flawed? You mentioned a certain character, and now I'm just going to put up a spoiler warning and ask if you thought this was weird too.
Okay.
So
sure.
Spoiler warning for those listening. Am I missing something, or did Martin Lee just kind of get thrown off to the side in that one room and never mentioned again?
If you read the Daily Bugles...
Oh, here we go.
If you're going to page 35...
if you read the Mass Effect Codex, it's clear what happened to the Krogans.
They kind of left it ambiguous. They implied that he did get taken back to jail, but then in the Daily Bugle they mentioned he escaped again.
Okay. I took it as, did he die?
Well, see, what happened to me is
I wasn't sure.
My fucking game crashed during that part. So I came back and I go through that, like the one hole again, and I was like, wait, did I skip a cutscene? And I didn't, thankfully, but like I thought I did for a little bit. It's like, oh fuck, I gotta go back.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like the game nicely ties up most of its other plot points.
Yeah.
And for that one to like, it's not, some weird thing to be like, oh, the supervillain escaped or survived or went to jail, because we see other superhero or villains go to jail. So it felt like almost a bit of an oversight.
Well, the thing to me, so I don't care as much about Martin Lee, like that part, because I like the idea that he escapes and kind of like either gets more absorbed by the whole Mr. Negative thing. By the way they fucking tied that all in, like you can bitch all you want about Martin Lee being the first 2 acts. The fact that they tied that into both Doc Ock's fucking like nerve disease, and fucking Norman. Oh,
that all felt really good when it came together.
Oh, I didn't expect that. Like they don't ever fucking tease that heavily. It just fucking happens, and you're like, oh my god, Norman's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I think that's when the game plot finally sold me, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's why we're here with this Mr. Negative guy for so fucking long. He's not uninteresting, but he's kind of just alright, I think, until that point, maybe a little bit.
He's intentionally bland.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's not a bad thing for a character to be intentionally flat, like the way he kind of is. It just means that he's there to highlight other characters. And when you realize that,
well.
yeah, like it works. the one villain I had more of a problem with was Black Cat. Because, so 2 times in this game, they blatantly tease DLC. One's not as blatant as the other, but like, I don't, again, Insomniac is my favorite studio. I don't condone that at all. Because when you do, there's optional like little submissions where you can find Black Cat's like hiding spots and all that. And when you find them all, she's like, oh, here's a suit for you, bye. And then it's like, oh, I wonder if we'll see her again. And that's the first DLC of the game, is Black Cat. So it's like, they designed all of that knowing going in that was going to be DLC. And
this is a bit of a walk, but that left me with such a feeling of like open world emptiness I haven't felt since in Assassin's Creed 2 when you unlocked that video sequence. I don't know if you played AC2.
Yeah.
There's the video sequence that set up like teaser bait for the sequels or whatever with the Eve thing or whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that empty about an open world thing since then, like 9 years ago. Because I did all that and was like, this is going to be real interesting. And then it's like, here's a video clip, buy the next game, fuck you. And I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, that...
okay.
Yeah, Black Cat rubbed me very wrong with that tease. And then, again, since we're still in spoiler section here.
Yeah.
When Silver Sable just, like, when Peter fucking dies.
Right.
And then, like, Peter doesn't die. But when Peter pretty much dies, Silver Sable's like, oh, I could, this boy helped save my boss, and he's a good person. I'm leaving forever.
I'm suddenly very, very impressed with you over the one thing I saw you do that you've been doing the entire time.
But she didn't even fucking see it. She just saw him afterwards. I
was legit laughing from that shit. I was like, I get what you want here, but you did not earn this.
And it's
all.
not even
I'm
a
sorry.
fucking cutscene. It's a goddamn phone call.
During a sequence when you're getting constant phone calls from people about what just happened, she just pops up. It's
hey,
like, I got your phone number, and by the way, you're pretty cool.
Yeah, like what the fuck? I'm leaving.
I love this game. I love the story, but some of that shit.
Yeah, that was some of that Insomniac sort of jank I'm talking about, where it's like, oh, here's where they fucked it up, and that's no disrespect to the team because they made what might be my game of the year. But when this bitch comes in and she's like, okay, bye, but my people aren't leaving. They're still contracted, but I'm staying. I'm leaving.
You still need them here for gameplay reasons. So they just love being here and fighting and killing innocent people. So they're going to stay, and I'm not going to do anything about it. Bye. I'm like, what?
And the thing that people I've heard theorizing is that the third DLC uses the word silver in the title. So she's going to be back for the third DLC in some way. And it's like, oh, come on. Get the fuck out of here.
Who was the third conversation that went that same way? It was Black Cat, her, and...
I don't
Do we know what the second DLC is?
The second DLC, they call it Turf Wars, so I think it's probably going to be either Martin Lee coming back or something.
I could see that being a Sinister Six thing, maybe. They all go at each other.
I could see that. I mean, they're all in jail, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I red boxed that game, so I'm probably just going to YouTube and see what's up with the DLC a little bit, so whatever, but...
Yeah, it's...
Very curious to see how that all goes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to buy it because it's Insomniac, just to give them benefit of the doubt, because they haven't steered me wrong yet. But I don't like the taste that left in my mouth.
Yeah, I feel that. It was all... Either it made you feel empty or made you laugh at how bad it was done.
Yeah,
basically.
Either way, it wasn't a good thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But again...
You can almost feel we have to make DLC, so we got the voice actor in the booth to record this fucking shit feeling.
Well, and it's fine to tease the DLC. Like, there's a certain way you can do it that's tasteful, because we all know you're gonna make DLC. But, like, don't make an entire mission set fucking dedicated to... Like, this is a game, mind you, they had the fucking attention to detail that if Spider-Man is swinging, he has a different inflection on his voice for every fucking line in the game. And this is a game where they couldn't even give us more than a phone call twice to tell us that DLC is on the way.
It's a good thing this game's real good otherwise, though.
Yeah. Like, again, this is probably my game of the year. And that's insane because this is their first fucking superhero game. I know some people say Sunset Overdrive was... It's not. It's just Ratchet and Clank in an open world.
You can see the similarities, but it's not.
Like, that taught them how to do open world, but that doesn't mean it's a superhero game. It just means that you're a big boy doing jump things.
My favorite genre,
yeah,
actually.
That's why I like Super Mario. You're a big boy doing jump things. I review games. I've reviewed like 100 games, and those are my words.
Professional game reviewer, the Golden Bolt.
Quote me on that.
Okay, I'll put it on the title maybe. So Spider-Man was your big thing.
Yeah.
You played some Fire Pro. Was that about it for you, casually?
Let me look at... I bought some games. I didn't play them, but I bought them.
I know that feeling.
I bought a couple N64 repros. Actually, so there are apparently some N64 homebrews that exist. I didn't know that because I thought the N64 had some sort of like issue where you couldn't easily make the homebrews for them. But there are a couple homebrew games that I bought. One was the first homebrew made for the system. It's just like a block breaker, brick break, that game. The other is a repro of the unfinished Robotech game, which is fucking terrible. But I wanted it, and then I've been playing a ROM hack on hardware, on a cart, for Majora's Mask Master Quest.
I've heard about that one.
Which I haven't gotten far enough to see too much Master Questy stuff, but I really like the idea behind that, because I love Majora's Mask.
So I just play Zelda games, and I never do Master Quest. Is it always the Mirror World?
Master Quest only became a Mirror World in like recent years. So okay. I don't know why they did that. It's just different dungeon layouts. So like the dungeons themselves may have the same like rooms, but in the rooms there are different puzzles and shit.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that sounds cool then.
I was hoping in Majora's Mask they would kind of move around like items and stuff, and there are some that are moved around. Like the first room before you even get to Termina, you find a fucking bottle, and I don't know why. Like you don't need that. I was expecting some kind of like tennis match or something, but no. But so far it's neat. I haven't gotten too far yet.
That sounds kind of interesting. I never got as far into the 3DS one as I wanted, let alone needing to like find other ways to enjoy Majora's Mask, basically. But that sounds cool. I'm glad that exists.
See, I bought the Majora's Mask 3DS model, so that's my John. That's my boy. That's my game.
That's my awkward thing. I got that too, and I put maybe a few hours into Majora's Mask 3D and bounced off it. I think at the end of the day, as the time went on, though, I just enjoyed playing a 3DS less and less, I think is the main thing.
I know people
because I'm always sitting at home playing games anyway.
Yeah, well, the thing to me, like, I mean, that too. But like, I like playing handheld games if I'm watching TV or anything, but I know people are like, not every game needs to be on the Switch, but it's like, yeah, but they could be.
Yeah, but why not?
Like, literally, I don't care if the game runs at half the frame rate, if it runs at 30 frames per second instead of 60. If I'm playing it portably, I'm going to finish the game. If I'm playing it on my console, I might not.
Yeah, and all that said, for me, the convenience of being able to switch, if they put that Majora's Mask port untouched, basically, other than single screen on the Switch, I guarantee you I'd need it.
Boy, I want that.
That also feels inevitable, so that'll probably happen anyway.
Yeah, or they'll just
all those Zelda ports they made.
Yeah, I could see them like reporting them eventually. I think Twilight Princess and Wind Waker are inevitable once they release the inevitable Skyward Sword HD.
Yeah.
Which
I'd rebuy Wind Waker again. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Wind Waker, but I love Wind Waker HD. And like I do have like there's a delineation point between those two. And it's just the Swift Sail. That's the only thing. Literally that made the game for me.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah. I'm hoping Skyward Sword HD whenever they do it. I hope there's not many ways to fix the problems the game had, because the game's problems were not the controls. No matter how many people say that was the problem, it was the fucking pacing.
Yeah.
That game has the worst pacing of any Zelda game, period, ever made.
Yeah, I bought it for $20 mainly for the CD that came with it that I've now lost, so good fucking go on me. But yeah, I tried playing it, and I just remember even a couple hours in, I was still feeling like not led around by the hand, but like talked down to a little bit. And I was like, all right, I get it. It's Zelda.
The most linear Zelda game arguably ever made. And for some reason in this most linear Zelda game and the smallest 3D open world of any of the Zelda games with the least to do, they decided to make it so that getting to the dungeons is 3 times as long as the dungeons themselves. Why? Why would you do that?
I have no fucking clue. Really, the only 3D Zeldas that ever jived with me anyway were Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, and now Breath of the Wild, so maybe I just wasn't in a position to enjoy it anyway, but...
Most people weren't.
Yeah.
It's
But the people who love that game fucking love that game.
Okay, so here's the fucking thing. Not Twilight Princess. Skyward Sword is the closest that, like, if it does a few things differently, it's the 2016 election of Zelda games. If
oh God!
a few
what did
things
you just say, all right, cut the cord. We're out.
if a few things go differently, fucking great game. But none of those things went that way.
So if Zelda's emails did not leak, you're saying?
Yes. If Zelda went to Wisconsin, we'd be fine. No, but horrible comparison aside.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You know, I actually follow what you're saying though, so I get it.
Like,
yeah.
if it has some of the best music in the Zelda series, it has the best dungeons in the Zelda series outright, I would argue. It has like one of the best stories in the Zelda franchise. The gameplay is totally fine. It's serviceable. It might be a little simple, but I enjoy it. Everything about the game is fantastic, except for the fact that it's a 20-hour game thrown into a 40-hour game. Like, there's no reason that there should be several hours of you backtracking through the same spots 3 fucking times for no discernible reason other than, fuck gameplay, we want to be as long as Skyrim. Quote. Actual quote. Like,
I was just about to ponder, I wonder if maybe they felt a pressure to make it longer because it had been 5 years since Twilight Princess, but that actually makes more sense.
It was literally, Aonuma was like, oh, this, we want to be like Skyrim because Skyrim's really cool. You know, we want to put a fight against that. And that's, hey, Breath of the Wild happened, so they were right.
That entirely different game launching on entirely different systems, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally the same market. But yeah, it's just, like, I get so frustrated when I talk about Skyward Sword because it's on the cusp of greatness at every given point in the game. It's like, oh, man, if this game weren't so fucking long, I would love it. But I've beaten that game twice now, and every single time I get so exhausted by the time they give you the third filler quest that I just skip the final dungeon. I just use a guide.
I'm going to exhaust my fantastic ability to tie everything to Sonic, but it reminds me of Unleashed, because they were like, we got to make this game long. No one wants to pay $50 for a 4-hour game. Put the Werehog in. The Werehog stages are half an hour if you don't know what you're doing. Otherwise, very charming Sonic game if you ignore all that.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty similar comparison. It's better than my 2016 election one.
Yeah, now the 2008 election. But, yeah, so if that's all you've played, I have a list of what I've kind of been messing with a little bit, before I tie this back into talking about you with some core questions I have. Yakuza Kiwami 2, I'm at 69 nice hours in that game. I think I've kind of hit my wall with that. I was trying to platinum it, and basically all I have left now are grinding things and mahjong. And after you helped me out with poker, you and Alexi helped me out on Twitch the other week, I was putting in some serious effort to try and understand mahjong, or mahjong, however you say it. I do not understand it. I cannot get my head around it.
I knew how to do it at some point, but I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, and it's even supposed to be like poker, and I understand vaguely these sets of hands, or the sets of tiles that can score, but I feel like I'm always assembling what I feel are pretty good matches and losing, so I don't know. And that's on the easiest thing. There's like 6 different tournament. I'm probably good unless somehow a really good guide gets out there. But 69 hours is still a lot of time for a game.
Yeah, especially since Kiwami 1 was like a, 12-hour, 13-hour story?
Yeah. Kiwami 2 is also a pretty short story. I just went that hard in on everything else, basically.
Okay, that's fair. I need to go back and play Zero still. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes, you do.
I've said before...
Oh, go ahead.
We said this in your Discord server at one point. I wish... I know why they keep the series on PS4 and PlayStation, because, you know, Nintendo kind of snuffed them. But I wish these games were on Switch, man. Like, I would have beaten them all if they were on Switch. Because just the ability to say, oh, I don't want to look at my TV right now because I'm a lazy fuck. Like,
I just want to mindlessly grind out some fights on the street.
I want to lay in bed and watch YouTube, and that's it.
Yeah. Speaking of, I wish YouTube would get on Switch already. Just
really. Like, for a second, I thought you were joking. Then I was like, wait, no, he's right.
Yeah, there's so many times where I'm like, I just want to put it on my TV or take it with me to bed and not have a bigger screen than my phone. But I have to plug in my PS4 if I want it on my TV, or stay up and look at my laptop. And it's like, just fucking Hulu's on there. God! Anyway. But yes. the world has enough of me talking about Yakuza, so I'm going to end it there and say, check out the review. Speaking of, played Donut County, very charming game. Check out a video I put out on it. I won't say much more. Now, this one I want to know if you played. Have you ever heard of Minute? It came out the other month, I think.
That came out like a few months ago, didn't it?
That monochromatic game.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I'm like, that seems interesting because it's kind of a Zelda-like. But then I was just like, I don't know what it was, but I was just didn't buy it. Like one of those games that I want to buy, but I haven't yet.
Well, I just bought it on Switch a week ago and beat it this morning, and that is a charming, fun game. I felt like I was constantly figuring things out and feeling really good about it. For those who don't know, it's called Minute, M-I-N-I-T. Basically, you have 60 seconds to try to progress the game. It's kind of Majora's Mask-esque in that... Actually, it's kind of not, because some items you obtain, you keep. And you basically keep those items into your next run. That's also a minute. And you just try to keep pushing forward and progress. Because the way you affect the world in some ways remains, but in some ways it doesn't. I'm making this sound way more complicated than it is. But basically, like if you find a sword, you start off your next run with a sword, and you can try to figure out what to do with a sword to push yourself further into the game world. It's like a 2-3 hour game overall, I'd say. But aside from a kind of brick wall I hit near the end of not being able to figure out what to do, I had a pretty enjoyable time with it the entire way through.
See, my concern was that like that whole gimmick would get very stale very quickly. So like, because like, do you start in the same spot no matter what?
Oh, that's the thing. For a while, but eventually you find new homes, basically.
Okay.
And you get a way to fast travel between these homes. So at any point you can be like, I need to go back to my starting position in the entire game for something. You just take a teleporter in your basement, go to the first house, and that sets it as your new spawn point.
Okay, good. Because I figured they had something like that.
A lot of issues.
Yeah. But like, it just, I don't know. It being 1 minute is a cool gimmick, but also one that I don't know is for me.
That's kind of how I felt, but I wanted to see how the game pulled it off. And it had the weird effect on me where I was going through runs and I was like, surely it's been like 50 seconds, and I'd look up and I'd have 40 seconds left. Like, I guess I got so into the game that minutes felt much longer than they actually are, but...
That's interesting.
I thought that would bother me much more than it did, but like I said, I was advancing and figuring things out at such a clip that I did not tire of it. I kind of looked forward to having the extra time when I died to go back and try to figure something out. It feels very geared towards speedrunning too, which isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would have trouble recommending it to everyone, but I personally had a really good time on it, and I'll probably do a please play it on that.
Yeah, but I would watch that.
Yeah, the main thing that kept me off for so long was the $10 price point and like the gimmick of the game. But I feel good about spending $10 on it, so that's good praise, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I would say so. While we're on Zelda games, Zelda-ish sort of kind of games that we could recommend. This came out last year, but I want to talk about it. Hob, play that game, please. Not to steal your gimmick there, but that game is one of...
Play it, please. There we go. Pip.
One of the better Zelda-likes that I've played, and nobody talked about it. Our buddy Sean from another Discord chat we're in, he had mentioned it, I think, at some point. I think it was him. And I was like, this game looks really neat. And I bought it, and it was like $20, maybe a little too much for what it is. But the company that made it was the company that made, I think Trine? Is it Trine or is it the other one? They made...
I know Trine, but I would not know what the other one would be.
There are two games that have like the same name, and I get them mixed up. I think it was Trine. No,
the Frozen Byte, the developer, does that ring a bell?
Maybe. They shut down after this game. That's all I know. And it's really sad because this game was really cool. It's like there's no dialogue. It's sort of like an Ico sort of game in that regard, where there's no dialogue, and you sort of work with this buddy at points, but it's like got these really cool Zelda dungeons, top down, very, very fun. And I can't recommend it enough. But yeah.
It looks neat.
Yeah, it had some problems at launch, like frame rate wise and everything on PS4, but it was so fun. I really wish we could get a sequel to that, but it's never going to happen now.
I think I remember you talking to one of the Spyros, and that's our in lingo there, about the frame rate issues. I remember that, and that's the only time I ever heard anyone talk about this game.
Yeah, I wish I had more time to go back and finish it because it was really, really fun.
When he was setting that up, I thought he was going to talk about that Blossom Tail game that came out recently.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not going to lie to you.
It was like a Link to the Past style game. Let me see if I can find it and send you the link here. Blossom Seed.
Hot take while you're searching for the link. I don't like Link to the Past.
Oh shit! You're just saying all kinds of weird shit today, man. What happened? I thought you were a game reviewer. You're supposed to like what everyone likes.
You're right. You really feel like Link to the Past.
Fuck you. But anyway, it's Blossom Tales, The Sleeping King. I've heard it's better than Link to the Past from people who have played it. See, apparently it's one of those homage kind of things that actually surpasses the original.
So that interests me, because the thing to me is Link to the Past, it's just I've never had a sustained interest in playing it, and so I can't fairly say I don't like it, but I don't like playing it. That's sort of what I mean.
Here's my hot take. That's how I feel about most Zeldas, so I totally get what you mean. Every time I try to play Link to the Past, I'm like, man, this seems cool, but like it's just not hitting my personal interests.
Well,
you know?
And the thing is, like, everyone assumes then immediately, like, oh, if you don't like Link to the Past, you must be an Ocarina of Time nerd. I used to be. I don't like Ocarina of Time much. Like,
yeah, me either.
I went back to it and I was surprised by how much I did like it more than I remembered, but it's so padded.
Like, I just didn't want to play it is the main thing when I tried Ocarina of Time, even the 3DS version.
So to me, I played it as a kid. It was one of my first games I played growing up. I loved it, and then I went back to it several times over the years, and every time I'd be like, oh man, this first dungeon's cool. Oh, I hate the fire dungeon. Oh, I hate the water dungeon. Oh, I hate the forest temple. Oh, I hate the fire temple. Oh, I hate the water temple. The shadow temple's cool. Wait, no, I hate that too. I like the spirit temple, though. So I'm playing.
There you go.
I'm playing most of this game for the not very good side quests that Majora's Mask does better. So why am I playing Ocarina of Time? And you know, again, that's right now. At the time, absolutely loved it. A lot of it could be that I've played it so much as a kid, and the dungeons are the weak part of the game to me.
Yeah, it's one I play where I'm like, I totally get everything this did for the medium, and I love seeing all that stuff, but in terms of enjoyment of actually playing it, I don't get it.
Yeah, so Link to the Past is sort of in that same regard for me, where even Link Between Worlds, everyone's like, oh my god, it's so good, and I'm just like, no, they just remade the world for Link to the Past in 3D, and then said, hey, here's half of gameplay. Do it.
That one actually grabbed me a bit more, but I don't think I could actually express why, other than I like pretty things, and I'm a modern baby.
It's like a 2D proto Breath of the Wild in that they finally gave you choice again, but the problem is every dungeon feels like a baby's first dungeon, because you can do any dungeon in any order.
Well, I am a baby, so
like and again, not to shit on the game. Like I know it's a fully functional, fully fine game that everyone loves. It doesn't click with me. I almost beat the game, mind you. I got to the only dungeon I didn't do was the top right ice dungeon, I think it was. And I got to it and I was like, I'm not having fun. I'm putting this down.
Speaking of not having fun and putting it down, Sonic 1 came out on the Nintendo Switch this week.
That's a good segue.
No, that's actually a totally cool version of that. I just wanted to make sure I gave that some props, because M2, great studio, they put the spin dash in the Sonic 1 on the 3DS, and this time they added the drop dash for Mania, which, like, when I played Mania, I couldn't really play the old Sonic games anymore because I needed the drop dash. Like, it just felt like such a natural part of Sonic.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a spin dash in midair. It's not revolutionary, but the way it made me play classic Sonic just destroyed my ability to play those old ones. So this is like an awesome release for me, just solely on that.
Yeah.
It has the arcade version, which I didn't even know existed until they announced it as
that's news
version.
To me. Does it have? It has the spin dash too on top of the drop dash.
Yeah. It also has a spin dash. You can select the region release of Sonic 1. You can turn off the spin dash. I think you can, turn off drop dash, keep the spin dash, or turn off the other, and vice versa. They put in a lot of useless options in these games, which I adore. I don't think this one has the music player they put in a lot of their 3DS ones, but you could like fiddle with the sound channels in a music player, which is such an like inanely meticulous detail to no end, but I appreciate that they did it. But anyway, it's $8. It's Sonic 1. You played it 50 million times. You know if you want that again or not. Personally, $8 for like the near definitive version of Sonic 1 for me made sense, but
yeah, I mean, for $8, I'm considering diving in, and I don't even like Sonic 1.
You know, I might agree with you at that final statement.
I like what Sonic 1 did, but Sonic 2.
Yeah, and that's also coming with the Drop Dash too at some point.
Oh, they're doing that one too? Oh, that's right. No, I heard about that. That's right. Nice.
Yeah,
I will.
Sonic 3 is the bastard child that'll never be touched again. But hey, Sonic 1 and 2 will get.
I'm not going to say what I was going to say. You know.
Yep. And the last thing I've been playing a lot, Burnout Paradise. I got a $10 gift certificate thing from Sony Rewards for the first time.
Oh, nice.
And Burnout Paradise Remastered went on sale to $15, so I was like, I'll pay $5 for the best game ever made. Immediately proceeded to put about 17 hours into it. I'm like fucking head over heels over it again.
I keep seeing it for like $10 at GameStop. Do they fix the problems yet? Like the bugginess? No.
That is my one reservation.
Okay.
I've had 4 separate game crashes.
Jeez.
Usually when I'm crashing into someone, ironically. Now, aside from that, it's a great version of the game.
I want to go back for 1 second and give praise to Spider-Man, because that game has like seamless autosaving. Like I had about 3 or 4 crashes total in Spider-Man over the 35 hours I put into it. And every single time I loaded exactly where I was. Like to the fucking pixel. So kudos to that game.
And we dodged mentioning the one bad part of the game, the stealth sections, but the checkpointing is so generous in those sections anyway.
The Mary Jane stealth sections?
Yeah, those and the other character,
and
Miles. Yeah, great checkpointing. Every time I got caught, I was basically at like the exact minuscule chunk of where I got caught that I was like, oh, I guess I'll do it again. And it wasn't like an actual detraction.
Well, so I didn't
shout out.
I liked the stealth sections, which was weird.
What?
I didn't,
oh, wow.
Well, I at least didn't dislike them. Like they existed. I liked that they kind of mixed up the gameplay a little bit and sort of like added some flavor to it. So when you go back to playing a Spider-Man, you're like, oh shit, this is cool. Which, you know...
that's a little bit of the Sonic Adventure 1 thing, though, where it's like, playing Big the Cat really makes me appreciate playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, I mean, yes, but I think it's different because in this case, I liked the Mary Jane puzzles. I liked... Like, Miles' hacking was very, like, it was just there. But those Miles' sections last, like, literally 2 minutes. So I'm not going to complain about that, you know? Whereas Mary Jane's last a bit longer, but there's only, like, maybe 4 of them in the game that I can think of.
I think they stuck out to me because as you get into the final hours, they
add more of them.
They kind of backloaded, some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you'll meet Mary Jane and she'll be like, you'll never believe what happened to me 15 minutes ago. And then the screen immediately cuts to black. It's like, 15 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, just tell me.
Yeah.
But it was nice to kind of flesh out the universe and play as other characters too. So I like it, but I also don't.
Like, it's harmless to me, I think. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's probably the way I'd put it. It's there, and I wish it wasn't, but it's also harmless.
And the other thing is, half of the shit in the game, Insomniac just lets you skip. Like if you do all of the little hacking stuff, like you can just skip those if you're stuck. Like there's an option in the options menu.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like, hey, do you not want to do these? That's cool. We don't mind.
I thought you meant skip the stealth sections. I was like, I definitely missed that.
No, I don't think you can skip those, but I wouldn't doubt that they would add that in at some point. They're very good with accessibility options.
Yeah. I especially like being able to add a background window to my subtitles.
Yeah, that would, and I think the size too. You can change the size. I think was that.
You can make those big boy letters do those jumps.
Yeah. Yep. You heard it here first.
So speaking of Burnout Paradise Remastered, I want to talk to you about how much shit you do on YouTube and how you don't burn out.
There you go. I was waiting for that part.
Yeah, and there you go. See, exactly. I don't know. I wonder how you don't burn out Remastered, but not even just for the sake of this show. I just want to know personally, mano a mano, how the fuck you do it.
That's a good question.
And that's a big question that I'm just like shoving you off the edge into the deep end here.
Well,
answer my question, monkey. Dance.
In what regard?
How you don't burn out on making it is what you're stuck on, or
sort of. Like I know what you mean, but give me a little bit. Give me a little bit of rope here.
Oh, okay. I just feel like you are a very consistent person. Like, as soon as the PlayStation Plus lineup is announced, I'm like, okay, yeah, before maybe like the halfway point of the month, we'll probably have covered all of these. You also, let me plug you here. You have a half-hour review, basically, of LA Noire with Mini-Me, who was there. That's a lot of time to put into a video, and that's a collaboration with someone, which means more time and planning and effort is necessary, right?
Okay, so
you have a 20-minute video of Alien Isolation, which came out before that. And I know these are probably things that you spend a lot of time working on, but also I know you spend a lot of time working on videos in general. Like there's a half-hour Sly Cooper video from almost a couple of months ago. Maybe I'm just comparing you to me here, where I personally hate every single thing I do and I burn out very quickly. But when I look at what you do, I think, man, I wish I could output the way the Golden Bolt does.
So
and still want to each month.
So let me go through some of that. I don't want to pretend that I am self-critical of my content. I don't want to sound cocky either, but I know my content is good content. So I don't think about that anymore. At first I was a little self-conscious, but it was like, I know I'm going to get better over time. So I can't, if finished is better than perfect. That's a thing that you hear a lot. And to me, finishing the stuff and putting it out meant that I couldn't think back on it. And it's there. I'm not fixing it. So in a way, continuing to make content made sure that I don't look back at my content.
Oh, that's a little grim.
No, not, I don't mean that in a bad way or anything. But literally, if I just keep my head down and keep going forward, I can't think back about things I might want to fix of older videos. Cause that's everybody hates their old content without fail.
I already hate the Donut County video, and it's been like 4 minutes.
So that's part of it, I think. Not necessarily actively, but that might be a piece of advice to take going forward, is that if you keep making content, you really can't think about how much you don't like your old content.
And I think, and that ties into my, I think bigger question here is that I feel like you were always working on something. Like, you and I, we talked about the Spyro 1 video, like how long?
2016, I think.
Yeah, and we've talked about Spyro 2 and 3 videos. We've talked about,
there's another project.
There's another topic where, your video will lead into a video I want to make.
Yeah.
And I know you talk to a lot of other people, you cheating son of a bitch. And I know you're always thinking about, a future video, whether it's the next one or one you'd maybe want a few months from now, but usually wind up maybe getting pushed back beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just curious how, are you always innately motivated, or do you ever wake up and you're like, maybe I should just take a month off +1, or do you ever just struggle with the root desire of making stuff?
So here's a little spoiler for you. So you're not the first person that says, "Oh, how do you put so much stuff out? How do you keep doing it? How are you so motivated?" I'm not motivated at all. I've procrastinated this fucking NES video for a month, and I did it all in the past week. The LA Noire video with Minnie. We had that planned. So all of my 2018 videos, minus the plus ones that come and go, and a few that I've sprinkled in between, most of those were planned at the start of the year. I wanted to do I wanted to do Spyro and then Tomba, and then lead into PS2 games with Sly Cooper and do the Sly Cooper series, which would lead me into PS3. And then the idea here was that by the time I got to April, I would be on PS4 games, which would be games that my +1 audience, who doesn't always watch my other content, a lot of them don't. They just watch the PS Plus stuff and move on. But I wanted to try and bump those numbers up a little bit. So I wanted to do a lot of PlayStation content because I knew if they watched one of my reviews, they would not stop. And again, I don't mean that in any sort of cocky way. I just know that to be true. And
I think to kind of go up against that a little bit, I think it's so easy to see YouTube as a businessy thing, to where if you feel good about what you do and say it the way you just said it, I think people immediately assume negative, maybe not intentions, but you know what I mean? They just instantly be like, that guy's fucking full of himself. Yeah. It's just so easy to kind of see it like that.
And let me bring this back a little bit. For anybody who might have that feeling, if you've made it this far and you're questioning why I'm so confident in my content, I am a director, one of the two, of NewTubers, the largest content creator community in the world. We built that from the ground up in the past 2 years at the same time I was building my channel. I am not afraid to say that out of everybody that knows YouTube, I am probably in the top 15 to 20 people as far as knowing how the algorithm works. It doesn't mean it works for me. I just know how it does work.
The second you also say something like that, you open yourself up to like, well, why do you only have this many subscribers if you know how it works? It's like, well, it's an algorithm. It's not like
I can't make it.
It's not like a cheat code.
The other thing is, I fucking do game reviews. Nobody watches game reviews. Like it is what it is, and that's why in the next year I'm planning on doing some different content to sprinkle it in, because there's no reason I should be intentionally holding myself back for the sake of pride because I want to be a game reviewer or anything like that. I do this for fun, but at the same time, if I know I can make something out of it, why am I holding myself back by either not doing anything or by doing something that's, I know, only going to get 500 views right now, when I could do something I could do something else that might have a little bit more of a chance to blow up in the algorithm, that could get that next review that would have had 500 views, 5,000 views. It's thinking smarter, not harder, with a lot of the stuff I do content wise. But anyway, so the point was that all these plans I had were supposed to be like, I was supposed to be well past that PS4, like the LA Noire video by August when it came out. I'm 5 months behind where I wanted to be. And that's why we delayed our Spyro video and the other video, and I've delayed a few other videos in between there. Because I have all these plans where I'm like, oh, this is going to come out this day, and then like 4 days later, I'm like, okay, it's coming out today. And literally, I was doing that right before this podcast, actually.
I remember the other day you were coming to a group of our friends. I'll call us friends. Maybe we're associates. I don't know. And
I was like, hey, can you guys help me with this video?
You're like, on Wednesday, like, please help me out here. I want this to be big. And we were like, yeah, okay. And like Wednesday came and went. I was like, well, okay.
It was supposed to be out Wednesday, and then I realized that my voice didn't want to record an hour of audio, which means that I had to record like 2 to 3 hours of audio because I fuck up all the time.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so I am incredibly behind where I always want to be, but I'm never motivated to make the content. Like I say in the LA Noire video, I think I told Minnie this. I hope I told him this. I edited that video in like 4 hours. Like that whole 30-minute review took me 4 hours outside of lining up the audio and like getting all of our parts put together and everything. Yeah, I did that the night before, but I was too tired to do it that night and stay up all night, because I can't stay up all night anymore to work on videos. My body doesn't let me. So I woke up at 11 a.m. I finished it at 3:45 p.m. and it went live at 6 p.m. after it rendered and uploaded.
That's impressive to me to hear. I'll let everyone know. Like, you can tell when I either did something quickly or didn't know what footage to use. But if I use a lot of long footage,
oh god,
and I don't cut a lot, sometimes that's intentional, but sometimes that's just, I need to get this fucking video out of Premiere and stop thinking about it. So fuck it, here we go.
Yeah.
So hearing that you did that Eleanor video, which I felt was done quite well, it had a really good.
You would not know.
It had a good rhythm to the editing and the way you cut and everything. I would not have guessed 4 hours. I would have guessed maybe like, a few nights over a week of like touching that up and everything.
That's what it was supposed to be, but no, most of my videos end up being like, okay, it's today, this will be done tomorrow. Which is a bad habit. Don't do that. That's the biggest piece of advice if you want to do YouTube. Don't do what I do. But
do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that. And then as far as like burnout goes, I don't want to say I'm constantly burned out, but there are times where I'm like, okay, like if you noticed between Sly 1 and Sly 2, there was like 2 months of gap. If you noticed between Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, there was 2 months of gap. I get very burned out on marathons, and that's why I'm not going to do them anymore for a while. And I was talking...
Yeah, I can relate, yeah.
I was talking to... has Sly 4 coming? I was talking to Ant Dude about this, and he was like, yeah, marathons don't really work unless you're Johnny anyway. Like, he's the only one who makes them work. And even then, you can tell he gets burned out on them too. Like, by the time he's on Mega Man X7, soon to be X8, and you can tell that he just doesn't want to. Maybe I'm thinking too much from the perspective of a YouTuber, but he doesn't seem like he wants to.
Maybe
do
we're
them.
projecting.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you can tell from his tone, like he was very excited with the early games. And yes, X7's a bad game, but even in X6 he sounded excited. So when he gets to X7 and he gets more and more, I don't want to say bored, but he kind of sounds more like less interested in it as it goes on, especially after doing fucking Metal Gear and Kingdom Hearts and all of this stuff. And it's like,
I don't know how you do Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, really. It's credit to him because he has some of the best drive of anybody on the platform to be able to continue marathons like that, and it works very well for him, algorithmically and everything. But God, I don't even know if I could do multiple Ratchet and Clank videos like in a row, and I can review those without even playing them. Yeah,
that's what I was saying when I relate. Somehow I did Ratchet 1 through 7 over like a 4-month period, was it?
Yeah,
Until the PS4 game came out. I don't know how I did that shit. I phoned it in on the third one for sure, but I guess what helps is that some of those were kind of short, but...
Yeah. But
marathons are always a great thing to think about, because like I like to think about covering games as like, oh man, here's my tastes, my thoughts, my recommendations. Like, of course I want to have like the Ratchet and Clank series represented on my channel. Why not just do it all in a row, right? It's always great in theory, and you can be like, oh, I covered the entire Ratchet and Clank series. That's something you can say, but the actual process of doing it, especially by the time you get to around like third, fourth game in the marathon. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing to me was, so with my Sly 4 video is one of my favorite videos I've done, because with marathons, and this is why I do love making them as much as I hate making them, the structure of that video, if you watch my Sly 1 re-review, because that was my first review and I remade it, if you watch Sly 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, I add little snippets of me discussing how these games like relate to one another and what changed from like each game to the next. So when you hear me talk about Sly 4 and I say it is Sly 1 plus 2 plus 3 all in one video, but minus the worst parts of Sly 3, minus the worst parts of Sly 1, and minus some of the worst parts of Sly 2, but still not the best game. It's just good. Like, and I talk about every little detail like that. Like, I'm really happy with how that one came out, even if I'm pissed off that it took me 5 months to put it out. But no one's going to know that it took me 5 months to put it out in 3 years if that video has 100,000 views or whatever.
Yeah, and even so, they'll just playlist it and go like, oh, here's the next video. Oh, here's Sly 3. Oh, here's Sly 4. So maybe they look at the date and go, oh, that's weird, but... Yeah,
and like the only time I ever acknowledged that is when I lampshade, like with Sonic 2, when I took 2 months and I did I got a comment on I plugged that Sonic 1 video on Reddit, and then I got a comment from SonicFan07, which told me to stop copying JonTron. 2 words, JonTron. And that was like the one time where I acknowledged, oh, it's been like 2 months. But
yeah, but like you mentioned earlier that, you're good at what you do and you know what you're doing. I'd say to back you up, because like I've been on your channel, but I haven't gotten you onto my channel yet. So this may be a lot of people's first introduction to you. As much as I like to think we have the same exact audience, obviously we don't. But yeah, I remember like when I first started doing YouTube, there is some guy called Kevin commenting on my videos with a Majora's Mask icon.
I'm gonna get fucking doxxed now.
About, huh? I'm
gonna get doxxed now from this.
Oh, okay. Sorry, his name was Majora, and he had a Majora's Mask icon. But those comments are maybe gone anyway. I don't know. I tried to find one and couldn't.
They're probably still there.
I remember you commenting on my videos. You were very nice to me, which I appreciate. And you'd also talk about how you're going to make your own YouTube channel. And I remember going, oh, okay, whatever. And I think I checked your channel out maybe a few months after you started, and I watched your, it was Sly 1, and then you had Mega Man videos early on, right?
Sly 1 and then Mega Man 1, yeah.
Yeah. I remember getting in. You had maybe 3 or 4 videos up by the time I finally stopped being an asshole and checked out your channel. But it's been weird watching you go from like that guy saying I've been planning out my YouTube channel for a year to being the guy approaching 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah, by the time this goes up, I might be there.
Yeah, and to your name, you've got like a really cool PlayStation All-Stars 2-parter. PlayStation Plus is something that I call your series the actual subscription. Plus One is a series that I think is such an obvious thing that I'm amazed no one was actually like
really right
doing that. That seems like such an obvious thing that like IGN should have like a fucking monthly thing like, hey, like is this shit worth it or not? But you just get here's the games, And it was like, well, what a fucking obvious thing. Why didn't I think of that? You know, it's just such a like obvious niche to feel and to feel. Look, my West Virginia accent. I'm getting emotional. It's coming out. Okay, yeah, you're at 4681 right now, and your own videos, I feel like, you know, the ones that aren't necessarily in like one of those series, I feel like they cover a pretty wide array of games, like from Alien Isolation to Tomba 2. Like, who the fuck talks about Tomba 2?
That I wouldn't have, if not. And that's like, I think I'm the number one Tomba 2 review if you search it now. Now that I say that, I'm probably not anymore, but like if you see...
Yeah, I'll make a video and upstage you, don't worry.
Yeah,
but
it's like, and that's not because the video was good or anything. It's because that came off the back of a collab with Mini-Me, and his audience loves PS1 games, so I happen to time that well.
Graphically impressive for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just weird watching you go from like the guy who, oh, I've been planning this for a year, to the guy who like definitely looks like he planned it for a year. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Like, it would have been so easy to just be like, oh, this is just some random fucking guy talking about his YouTube channel he's never going to make, or he'll just make like 3 videos and say, fuck YouTube. But I've said it before, but like, I am envious of you and like how you consistently have videos out and like the array of things you cover and the way you cover it. Like going from your video 1 to most recent video is like night and day.
Yeah,
so
yeah, thank you. I'm glad that's the case. Jesus, don't watch my first video.
Basically, I'm just smooching your cheeks a little here, but yes. So for anyone who doesn't follow me, you should definitely check out the Golden Bolt. I know it sounds like I'm wrapping up here, but I have more to say. But yeah, if you like me, you like him. Even though he thinks Link to the Past is the worst game ever made.
Fuck, now that's in writing.
So what I gave you my rough outline here, and I want to actually separate this out a bit. But as far as +1 goes, and I guess also the Nintendo Switch Online thing, they need a better name for that.
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch Online -
Netflix.
Nintendo Entertainment System, I think, is their actual full title for that, right?
I don't have a special series title for this one. Like, I had +1, I had Gold Standard for Xbox Gold.
Which was good.
I don't have one for this one. I'll probably think of it, though, because I +1 came after I thought of the idea for the series. I thought everything about +1 in my sleep.
You told me that once, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Like, I was literally... I was sleeping, because I wanted to do a mini review series. Something, like, small, to be able to just throw it out and have more videos. Because, I mean, if you don't have consistent content, you're not going to grow. And...
this may have changed, but I feel like I used to hear a myth that like once you hit 100 videos, YouTube kind of pushes your stuff more.
I doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that's a thing. I think
that may have been like 2016 era, but
correlation, not causation. Like if you have more videos, more of them are likely to be seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so I had the idea because I was trying to work on how I would want to do mini reviews because I didn't know like how do I justify giving a game a mini review versus a real review, and like these are things I think about because I'm fucking stupid. And now I just do it. I just like if I have a mini review, it's just me talking about a fucking game. But then I had the idea in my sleep. I was like PlayStation Plus reviews. Oh, I like that idea. I woke up and wrote it down. Thank God. And then like a couple nights later, I had the idea like +1. I don't know why I thought of it, but I was like, fuck, that's it. That's the title. And then like a few weeks later after the first one, I came up with the tagline, after all, the games may be free, but your time is valuable. Like, I came up with that, and I was like, there it is. That's my series. This is my movie.
That just all fell into place for you pretty well then, didn't it?
It was just very good timing. The fact that no one did it yet, and sleep deprivation.
And there's someone else doing it now, right?
So around the same time that I did it, like maybe a few days later, because I posted it on Reddit, and everyone really took to it pretty strongly. Which I'm thankful for, but there was one guy who he was like, "Oh man, I had the same idea. I was gonna do this," and
yeah, I was sleeping, then I woke up and wrote it down.
Yeah. So he had the video mostly done, and he puts it up a few days later, and he just actually stopped doing them. His name is Hive Minds now on YouTube, formerly Not the Bees, and he does like you've probably seen his Shovel Knight stuff pop up in your recommended, but he did the PS Plus. He called it PS Plus or Minus. And he just canned that series like last week, just because I think I think because I was first to the punch, the algo just never like hit him as well. Like Reddit didn't respond as strongly to him. Reddit barely responds strongly to me, so I just got incredibly lucky. But yeah, it just didn't work out in his favor. because of timing, and he still had very good videos.
You should let him have the gold standard. Just be like, all right,
hey, review the Xbox games.
But the main question I wanted to ask, and this is another personal curiosity. Let's say, obviously PlayStation Plus in March is changing the games they distribute. But let's say other than that, for the most part, these services are kind of just gonna keep on trucking with this distribution thing for like a year, 3 years, 5 years. Do you see yourself, let's say in like a year or 5 years, still doing Plus One? Like, I wonder that about what you do. Like, is there a point where you're like, you know what? You can just look up if the game is good. I have other things to focus on. Or if to you, this is such an integral part of what you enjoy about YouTube that you could easily see yourself still doing it, even like far from now.
Here's a little YouTube secret. Plus One was, I've said it already, it's a means to an end. I love doing those videos, but they were just there to provide more content. And obviously they are a big part of what caused me to grow. I was only at 160 subscribers by the time I started Plus One, and by the time a month later came around, I was at 500. Or, then 2 months after that, I was at 1,000. And then, it's continued to get faster and faster, to the point where, when I'm talking to people for the NewTubers podcast, like other creators, I think Game Dave said at one point, he was like, oh yeah, I've seen that in my recommended feed. And it's like, I'm showing up on Game Dave's recommended feed. Not that his is anything special compared to anybody else's recommended feed, but, it's getting out there. And like, I have occasional fears that Plus One, it already has outpaced my regular audience. You can see, like, I get maybe 600 views in the first month on most reviews, which is good. That's 10% of your audience. That's about what you want. But, Plus One, last month I had cumulatively 30,000 views on just Plus One. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that alone accounted for almost all of my views last month, outside of like the couple, like 10,000 more views somewhere. And, if all those people keep watching just the Plus Ones, is that ever going to cause harm to my main videos? I don't want to be just Plus One. I am the golden bolt. And, those are things that pop in my head constantly. Or like, if I ever stop doing Plus One, am I going to, like, is my channel going to die? That's stuff that everybody has to think about on YouTube, sadly. But no, I don't think Plus One's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Maybe one day I'll have an exit strategy for it. Like, I've thought about that. It's got to be in the back of your head, where it's like, okay, this is doing very well, but it's also now hurting me because I'm doing these videos that get a lot of views, but now my main audience maybe isn't Plus One. Now maybe I've hit that audience of a similar variety to the completionists, the pro Jareds, the Ant Dudes, the Some Call Me Johnnies, all of them. And
define the computer rooms of the world.
Yeah. And, maybe that happens where now the Plus Ones are hurting me because my watch time is lower, or my retention is lower. And my only current plan for that would be, once I get to a certain point where this isn't worth it to do them as individual videos, I would do them as one big video.
You've kind of moved a little toward that lately.
That's just because the games are shit.
I kind of figured that was maybe the reason, but I was also like, oh, maybe that's how he's getting to his 6-minute videos he was talking about earlier. He's putting 2, 3 ones kind of together.
Well, I mean, yes, that is,
but maybe that ties in.
That's the less meme reason. But like, if I can't talk about Bejeweled for 6 minutes. I could try. I'm not going to be able to.
You don't have 10 minutes of discussion about that Luxor 2 clone?
God.
You kidding me?
I played it, like, so normally my thing with Plus One is I play at least 10% of the game or at least an hour of gameplay, whichever is longer. With games like that one, I played like 20 minutes and I'm like, I'm done. I don't need any more of this. All I'm doing is,
get it.
Like, I'm wasting my time. And, while your time might be valuable, mine is too. To quote my series there.
And that's what gets me. The one kind of pushback you get often is, oh, you only play an hour of the game. Like, that's probably 20 times as much as I played most PlayStation Plus games, frankly.
Well, and the other thing is, the reason I thought of this idea is because I stopped downloading the PS Plus games. I stopped redeeming them at a certain point because I was like, I don't fucking care anymore. And I was like, I'm spending $60 a year for this shit, and I'm not even downloading. Like, if I buy that game later, I lost money. So why am I not playing these? I'm missing out on games I might love. And I was like, wait, why don't I review these? Like, that's sort of what popped into my head as I was sleeping. I was like, no, I should check PS Plus. Wait, what if I missed a game I like? What if I review these? And that's kind of how the thought process went.
Reviewing games on YouTube can be a good motivation to either clear a backlog out or expand your horizons in a weird way.
Yeah. It comes back to I wish I had time to play video games, but I'm too busy playing video games.
Yeah.
Like, my schedule gets fucked every month because of PS Plus. Like, no matter how I plan around it, every month it gets fucked. And that's...
I think next month I saw a leak that it might be like Diablo 3 and which would... games you'd probably maybe actually want to sink some serious time into, depending on how you feel about those games.
I absolutely will not. I will play... next month is Shrek. I am not... Like, I gotta get ready for that.
Oh, right, duh.
So...
Hey, you should talk about Shrektober while you mention Shrek. That way there's context for you mentioning Shrek as next month.
Every year in October, I do a Shrektober. It's a series of videos where I review Shrek games. There are 29 Shrek games in the world. Not counting ports to different platforms that are different versions of the same game. There are 29 Shrek games.
That feels higher and lower than I would expect, if that makes sense.
Shrek started in 2001.
Don't ever say that to me again. That's 18 years?
Yeah.
17 years?
More than one game per year. Close to 2 games per year at this point. And that's counting the last 8 years where they haven't had any. Think about that. Yeah.
Shrek's been away for a little bit.
Shrek 5 is coming out soon.
Hell yeah.
But it's not Shrek 5, it's like a prequel.
Are you counting Shrek Sugar Fever on the iOS App Store?
Okay, there's 30 Shrek games. So yeah, every year I do it as a fucking... I don't know why. I think it's because I just had the idea of... Someone said Shrektember, and I was like, no, Shrektember is too good. Shrektober. And so... Yeah, I do Shrektober. I review a bunch of garbage games. And now it's kind of co-sponsored by another thing I do, which is every year in November, we raise money for Child's Play in our Going Ogre for charity stream. Well, we don't play exclusively Shrek. We only play like one or two Shrek games, honestly. But it came off of the idea that my buddy Moriarty from Crymore Gaming, he was like, I would pay money to see you play this game again for the worst game I've ever played, which was Shrek Extra Large. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so we did like a charity stream, and then we did it again last year for 24 hours. And then this year, by the time this comes up, we should be just about announcing this. We're going to be doing a 3-day charity stream over the course of November 9th, 10th, and 11th for about 8 to 10 hours each day. And we're going to try and do that, plus other things, to raise our goal of $5,000 for Child's Play.
That's a lot of smackaroonies.
Yeah, we have an idea of how to get there, but that's not set in stone yet.
I was sad I could not make it to the last event you held, so I'm going to hopefully try to bust in for 30 seconds and ruin whatever you're doing at that moment this year.
I don't think you can ruin Shrek, I promise. It's already been ruined. Yeah, actually, I thought of that, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to do a 3-day stream this year. Not because of you, fuck you, but because it made sense for me. Like the fact that I know you were excited for it, and then you had to miss it because of work or whatever. And I was like, why are we doing a 24-hour stream when A, we're gonna die, and B, like if we do a 3-day weekend stream, we won't die, and people can check it out if they're free. Like they'll be free for one of those 3 days unless they're on vacation. So, yeah.
That's kind of one of the nice things about the charity streams we get into with the Fund the Charity Room stuff. It's usually like a week or so. Yeah. So like people may miss the game, or maybe sometimes even the host they want, but usually they can at least find some time to dip in and see what's up.
Yeah, and that's I shamelessly copied you guys, I'm not gonna lie.
We shamelessly copied someone else, so yeah,
it's fine.
That's how the world works.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have that on your plate. I don't know if you're the type that openly talks about things they're doing, or if you hold it close to your chest until it's done, because I know that's a mistake I made. Sly 4, I said I'd review Phantom Pain, for example,
Oh yeah.
And that's not on my fucking radar at all. So would you like to talk about your future plans, any?
I can't give any time frames because I always fuck those up, but I'm trying to think of which ones. So next year, my plan is to move away from reviews for a little bit. I'll still be doing them, but I want to do more explorative content, or exploratory content, where I kind of do. I don't want to call it like an Ant Dude style video or like something like that, where it's like, oh, these games and my name, but some stuff he said to me on the podcast that I interviewed him for, kind of hit home with me, where it was like the way that he covers games that are not very known in very known franchises, or things that, aren't necessarily being covered as much. Like I don't know why I didn't think to do that yet outside of PlayStation All Stars. Like I've had ideas for like bigger documentary style videos, like the PlayStation All Stars video, but those take forever to make, and I just don't want to. Like I had one planned for July this year, and I just didn't do it.
Oh yeah, I was really hoping to see that one. Yeah, I remember that one.
I'll come around to that one day. But it again, that was also Xbox themed, so it was like you said, no one talks about Xbox. So I felt this is the kind of thing you need to think about with YouTube is you got to think about not only the videos you're making, but when you're making them, because I could make that video right now and it would get 1,000 views, maybe 5,000. Yeah. Or I could wait until I get 1,000 views per video, and that first 1,000 views is going to bump up to like 5,000 because of the algorithm, and then it'll just keep growing from there. And that's how videos blow up. You need to put yourself into the position to get lucky. Like it's not about
luck. Your sentiment kind of touches on the weird chicken and egg stuff with some game coverage on YouTube. Like no one talks about Xbox on YouTube because no one will watch it, but I think maybe also sometimes no one watches it because there isn't really much to watch too. So it's like you can either, I bet if you became an Xbox centric channel and pushed that for a few years, I bet you'd start to get some traction, but it would be such a fucking grind to get there in the first place.
Yeah, and that's exactly it.
Like, you think of Greg Miller as, like, the PlayStation guy, for example, depending on what circles you run in, but, like, who is the Xbox guy, you know?
Yeah, Major Nelson.
Yeah, the official market piece for the company, yeah.
That's closest to get. And again, that was another thing that, I keep going back to Antu, because a lot of the stuff he said, like, really hit home. We were talking at Too Many Games this year, and he was like, oh, I hope you become the Ratchet & Clank guy. Like, people call me the Kirby guy. I hope you become the Ratchet & Clank guy, because I want people to watch videos on Ratchet & Clank, because I want to make more, but no one watches them. Mm-hmm. And, it's a shame that you have to say that, but, it's his full-time job. He has to do what he has to do. Like, it's, if that video is only going to get him 12,000 views, then he might lose a sponsor or whatever out of it. I'm just, projecting, but you have to think about that shit if you want to do this as a living. And I'm not thinking about doing this as a living anytime soon. Obviously, I made $30 last month, and that was my best month. Nothing to scoff at. Don't get me wrong, but
I think both of us are at the point where if tomorrow it could happen, we'd do it. But
yeah, exactly.
That tomorrow is a long ways off.
Yeah, like this is my essentially like you said at the start. I have a job. I have school. I have this. I have YouTubers. I have a life. Like questionably. There's so many things that I have to do, and I always have to put one of them off at any given point to do the rest. So it's...
Yeah, so you focus on being Spider-Man, and Mary Jane gets mad at you because you didn't show up to her play, and Dr. Connors is like, I lost a hand for you? And this is what you're doing to me? Golden Bolt Parker?
Yeah, what he said.
And so it makes sense. You just gotta watch Spider-Man 2 again. That analogy is perfect. But like that's the tough part about YouTube, because I think I said it in that YouTubers chat room that may be secret, and I may have just spoiled the secret identity.
No, that's fine.
But I feel like on YouTube I just now want to talk about whatever I want to talk about. Like the idea of a PlayStation series was cool in clearing my backlog and like having a quote brand, but eventually I just couldn't motivate myself to do it anymore. And as safe as it would be to maybe talk about like, Crash Bandicoot games and Spyro games forever, I just kind of want to be able to, at any point, be like, here's Donut County, or here's Minute, or, things that, frankly, will never get me any views, but ones I actually want to talk about. And that's kind of where I've come to with YouTube.
Well, and that's also another thing to briefly touch on, is I always questioned Someone Call Me Johnny's Street Fighter video, because he reviewed all of them at once. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I know it's Street Fighter, but I feel like I'd always want to review every game in the series individually. That way, if you want to watch one, you can watch one. Now I'm just like, no, fuck it, do it all in one video. Like, I completely came around and I understand why you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've been pondering doing I've been considering continuing to ponder Mega Man, because I have Mega Man 1, but it's like, I don't want to review them all individually anymore. I did, now I don't. And
yeah, what do you say from Mega Man 3 to 6 that's like particularly...
So I thought about doing Mega Man 2 and then 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, and then 8 and base, or 7 and 8, base and base 2, 9 and 10, then 11. But now I'm just like, maybe I'll just do them with the way YouTube works now. They love long videos, and because they love people watching videos for a long time because they can place more ads. You know, maybe I'll just do a 1.5 hour Mega Man retrospective where I talk about each game and just review them all at once. That would be fucking hell, but you know what? Like, maybe that's the best way to go. And maybe that would be better for me viewership-wise and retention-wise than doing them individually. And if that's the case, why intentionally harm myself for the sake of pride?
Yeah, because at that point, like, you're going to get... the guy who likes Mega Man 4 and wants to know what you think of Mega Man 4 will watch the Mega Man 4 video and maybe the others, but he'll watch that video at least up until the Mega Man 4 part to see what you think, you know? He won't ignore the rest of it click-wise, if that makes sense. Yeah, and like if someone can make an 1.5 hour long video complaining that Ratchet lost his edge, then why am I making short videos? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to stretch my videos out intentionally outside of the plus ones. And even then, I was cutting shit out to get them to 3 minutes before. So, like, 6 minutes is much more comfortable for me. I remember you talking about having to cut, or like getting a kind of a process to get down that short. Yeah. And I remember thinking that was cool, but I also remember thinking, like, I wish he wasn't cutting, though. Yeah, so, like, there was a point so I'm on season 3 of the Golden Bolt. And season 1, I've actually done like a whole meta-analysis of like my words per minute, my word count, my video length on average between videos. And I didn't finish doing this analysis by the end of season 2, but near the end, I had cut down 25% of my video length, which helped my retention significantly because no one wants to watch a 100 sub channel doing 20-minute videos, but if it's a 500 to 1,000 sub channel doing 15-minute videos, it's better. And now that I'm nearing 5,000, I've gone back up because it's like, why am I cutting shit out when I know now I can do those edits just as fast as I did before. So I'm not losing any time doing it. You know? And the people who want to see more of you or more of what you think get more of what they want, they'll watch more, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, exactly. I'd say by now you probably build a pretty comfortable base of people who will watch a video just because it's you. Yeah, I get a few comments for not as much as you would like, of course, but... Yeah, I mean, we're all, we're on YouTube, we're naturally greedy. But, yes, I absolutely wish that I had more people coming over from Plus One and watching just because it's me. And actually, that goes into another thing. Is like I've been sort of sampling more hooking titles. Like, I don't want to say clickbaity, but like with Alien Isolation, that title is the best horror game ever made. I believe that. I genuinely believe it's the best horror game ever made. Find out why. Watch the video. And rather than doing Alien Isolation Review, The Golden Bolt. That's my title for every other video. That's not gonna get those views early on. I can always change it back later. Those views won't come. If I change the video now, if I did it as Alien Isolation and then change it a month later to a clickbaity title, it won't get those views. Mm-hmm. And that means I'm holding myself away from a potential audience that I should be fighting for. Mm-hmm. Like, I was actually toying doing that with the Donut County video too. Yeah. Trying to get some kind of like title to express also how I felt in the video title, if that makes sense. Like, I couldn't think of one, and obviously Please Play It as like a name kind of gets the idea across, but I wanted something about the game specifically too. Yeah. And ultimately I just decided to be lazy, but... Well, and that's the thing for me is like I had another pride thing where I was like, I don't want to do like hook titles because then if I do, it might spoil part of the review. Like, it might spoil how I feel about the game. But like, who fucking cares? Like, if anything, knowing what you think would make someone want to click in more. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, this guy thinks that game's the best. Fuck this guy. What? I'm going to click it and then tell him he sucks eggs. And I've gotten comments from people that are like, I think the best horror game of all time is Silent Hill 2, but you make really good points. People I've never seen comment before. And if you commented, I generally remember who you are.
because I'm one of those nerds who replies to almost every comment. Because these videos are a conversation. I'm not just throwing them at you and saying, "Hey, here's my thoughts. I want to hear your opinion."
Yeah, I think that's my big disconnect with some of the reviewers I used to watch who would there's up front, there's a point where you just can't do it, obviously.
No, I have plans to get to a point where I phase that down. Obviously, you have to.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just the point where it's like, I remember some of these people who are big now, I remember they used to comment on everything, and now it's like they don't even go into their comments at all, you know?
Yeah, and
it's just like entirely their audience yelling at each other, and there's like no sense of order or like discussion to be had. And it's like, I get it, but also I remember the good days of that, and it's kind of a shame.
Like, being insulted is part of YouTube. You have to accept that. Like, if I guess I get some people have thicker skin than others. Like, I don't care if you insult me. It's like, if you can say whatever you want about me, I've said worse about myself. So, feel free to be as mean as you want in the comments. The worst it's going to do is get you blocked.
But really, cynically, every comment helps you in the algorithm.
Yeah,
so
most likely you're not getting blocked. And that's the other thing. Like, you're helping me by commenting, by disliking. I don't care. I don't care what my like-dislike ratio looks like.
That's my thing every time someone shares a video on Twitter. It's like, go dislike this thing because this guy sucks. It's like, yeah, you fools!
Yeah.
You've fallen into his trap! And then you'll be like, oh, why is this guy so popular? He sucks. It's like, I wonder why.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my strategy for YouTube in 2019, is to intentionally be an asshole and let the algo work for me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we have talked for 2 hours, which is half an hour longer than I was expecting this to go.
Oops.
So I will...
yeah, this video is not coming out today, I don't think.
I will make a blanket... Well, I will apologize for that.
No, it's fine.
Say, if you have anything else you'd like to add or go anywhere, I'm cool with it. But otherwise, I'm cool with ending this here, if you're good with that.
I think we've exhausted most of what we wanted to talk about. I feel like we probably left a few loose ends somewhere. So if we did, just yell at us in the comments, and I'll check.
That just means we come back next time and address it, and then add new loose ends. And
we're a modern day Walking Dead.
Ugh. The season 9 trailer's out. You excited?
More like Walking Dead channels. Hey.
Oh, now you're talking about me, huh?
Nah,
yeah, okay, guy. Yeah, okay.
Oh.
It's true though.
Anyway, I said plural channels. You gotta keep that in mind.
Me and FTCR. Okay, I get it. Okay. Yeah, okay, big guy. Oh, I'm good at what I do. Whoa, look at me.
Fuck, exposed.
Oh, fuck, there's my thumbnail. Okay, anyway. It's very nice to talk to you again. It's been a while.
I just almost spit up my soda.
Hot. Second thumbnail. Got it.
Yeah, this was fun. I'm glad I was able to make it and join in, and this was a lot of fun.
I hit my quota of making it awkward 4 different times, so I'm happy with it. Thank you for coming on to my podcast. Thank you for debating me on my podcast, sir.
Don't forget that Link to the Past is the worst game ever made.
And the Ocarina of Time isn't as good as you think it is because we don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Go... your Twitter is just the Golden Bolt, right? You locked that down?
Yeah.
Okay. Follow Mr. the Golden Bolt on Twitter. He tweets very self-deprecating things fairly often.
Do I?
Do you have a youtube.com/the Golden Bolt?
Yeah, it's /the Golden Bolt, yeah.
Oh, you locked that down. Okay.
Well, I did, but then they so half the time it comes to, like, not anymore, but for a while, half the time it came to me, and half the time it went to some kid who was user the Golden Bolt, who has 2 subscribers, has a lightning bolt for his image. It was
That's the issue I have on Social Blade, because I always want to type in
and it doesn't. Bolt. It goes to fucking, like, Alex Stevenson or some shit.
I know. It's bad that I remember their actual name, but I won't say it.
Yeah.
Even though we just clearly gave away how to find it.
I doubt they use that account anyway.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. But yes, go follow him, check out his stuff, like it, comment, subscribe. You have a Patreon?
I do have a Patreon. You are one of my patrons, and I am one of your patrons.
We give each other the 80 cents left over after fees and taxes every month.
See, no, I think it's a cheat code. Infinite money. If we just keep giving each other more and more money, we'll each get more money.
Yeah, and then we'll bankrupt Patreon in shoot ourselves in the foot. But if you like what he does, go on to there, support his Patreon. I fully believe that in 3 years you'll be one of the big boys on YouTube, along like the Johnnies and the Ant Dudes. So
all jokes.
Get in now while it's good, and then complain
before
in
I
the
sell
comments later.
out. Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that.
All right, and I have no idea who we'll have on next month. It'll probably just be me again. So I'll see you in a month on Last Wave. Thank you.